Now is the time! But what time? It's only been a few hours since I put up that last video, the FA Cup final. If you haven't watched that one already, go do it. Because FA Cup final. Really, I shouldn't have to tell you. So here is the beginning of our Season 2 recap video, just to have a look at everything. A couple of updates that have happened since, it's been about a month since the FA Cup final, so a couple of new things that we're not really going to go into in depth. Isaac King gets a new contract, because he wanted one, a little bit more money, and all that. And we also finally splurged on the new youth scout that I mentioned. So we've got a top quality one, hopefully, to bring in some really good youth candidates over the next year or two, or however long this series goes. So let's jump right into the meat. Let's first look at the tables. We'll go through as many as I feel like. The League One, we on top, finished by 11 points. Pretty solid stuff. Rotherham will go up with us, and I haven't seen who made the playoffs there, so I don't know. Getting relegated are Chesterfield, Fleetwood, Stevenage, and Walsall. FA Cup. Oh, we won that one. Spoiler alert. But you've already watched it now, because I told you to go watch it, right? And the EFL Cup, Crystal Palace ended up winning that one. We didn't get very far. Who did we go out to in that one? Let me check that real quick. The EFL Cup. What was our last match in that? We lost to Shrewsbury. That's right. Yeah, that was a rough match. But well, life goes on. And on it did. There's another piece of trophy for us. 1-0 against the MK Dons. That was a while ago. Oh, the playoffs. Bolton won. How about that? The European International Cups. That was the friendlies. Copa Europe. Bayern beat Roma for, I think that's Europa League. Unless, no, that's the European Shield or whatever it is. The beginning of the at the beginning of the year, between the Europa League champions and the Champions League champions. Manchester United won the Champions League. That's hilarious. Alright. There's Europa League. Actually, I have to cut out a full minute of loading. These take forever to load. Barcelona wins Europa League. How pathetic is it that they couldn't manage to get in the Champions League? That's just weak. Oh, the World Cup. Don't care. And there's that. So, while we're on this league thing, let's have a look at the other leagues as well. Argentina, don't care. Australia, don't care. Austria, don't care. Belgium, don't care. If you do care, just pause the video and have a look. Brazil, barely started. Chile, they finished. Colombia, don't care. Denmark, don't care. Manchester United look like they got a really good squad if they're winning the Champions League and the Premier League. Well done for them. And who's getting relegated that we'll have to handle next season? It's like Norwich, Hull, and Fulham. Alright, not bad. And the Championship, Sunderland. Wow, what a season. They get to go back up to the top flight, along with Aston Villa, and whoever wins the playoff there. And then Millwall, Sheffield, Huddersfield, and Wigan drop off. And we have to deal with all the rest of the teams in the middle. We know League One. How did League Two pan out? Portsmouth and Rochdale getting promoted, and someone else there getting... No, Cambridge is going to get promoted as well. And then that's the next four that'll fight for the playoffs. And who's bottom of the pack? Grimsby. Poor guys. They're not very good. France, PSG, and Monaco on top, as it should be. Bayern wins the league by a little bit in Germany. And Wolfsburg and Dortmund close behind. Juventus with some breathing room at the top of Italy. Japan, don't care. Korea, don't care. Mexico, do not care. And Holland, Feyenoord on top with PSV and Ajax and AZ just behind them. Norway, don't care. Poland, don't care. Portugal, Porto and Benfica leading the pack by quite a bit. Ireland, don't really care. Russia, don't really care. Saudi, definitely don't care. Oh, wow. It came down to goal differential between Celtic and Rangers. That's how unrealistic this game is. This is for the season that will be starting in real life in a month or so. But the thing is, Rangers are never going to be that good. How do I know this? Because they got knocked out of Europa League by some crap team from Luxembourg. And that's just laughable. Spain, Barcelona on top, even though they couldn't make Champions League. Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, US, where's Portland? Not too bad, although they've played a lot more games than some of the other teams. Goofy American schedule. LA Galaxy on top by quite a bit, though. And that's that. Okay. On to the players. That's what we wanted to see. I'm just going to hit the highlights of some players that are more meaningful this season. First up is Nils Larsson, of course. He was very much on the bench when Bailey was here, but as soon as we sold him, he stepped into the #1 slot, and man, he was amazing. He saved us in so many games, mostly in the FA Cup, but he had a phenomenal run. He could be our player of the season, even though he was only starting for the second half. Before we get to our top scorers and other numbers like that, player that got the most goals this season was Tom Elliott, but he's no longer with us. We sold him. The next top scorer was Hamish Watson with 10 goals. Elliott got 13. Assists, top assist man was Reeves, who's no longer with us. He got 12, and the backup that is still with us is Hamish Watson with 9. So I guess Watson had a fairly decent season. The most efficient in terms of goals per game, Samazada with 8 out of 17, no longer with us. Then Elliott, 13 out of 33, no longer with us. Hopper, 4 out of 14, not great, but whatever. And then Watson with his 10 out of 34. And efficiency in terms of setup, best average, Reeves, 12 out of 35, of course. And then Watson, 9 out of 34. So in terms of scoring and setting up goals, I think Watson's our main man. And then most appearances of the season, Hansen, the center back, Ed Collins, our right mid, and Mikkel Bust, the left back, also center back. So there's that. Jazzy had a good season. He's gained a little bit. He's going to be with us for a while. Hansen was solid, even though he's aging, and he's not going down, which is good. Mikkel Bust, excellent season for him, despite a little bit of injury. Butler, quite good. He was injured for a few months towards the end, though. And Mendes Lang, solid season. Not the best you could expect from a winger, but not bad. Aljour gets our award for the most developed. He gained 13 points overall. That's 2 before we brought him into the senior squad. But look at those numbers. If we can keep up this momentum, he will be amazing. Labadie, Captain Fantastic. Not a bad season for him. He's still developing a little bit. Johnny White, again, very good season, especially in that last match against Arsenal in the FA Cup final. He was phenomenal there, and he's still developing, looking like a fairly solid player. Isaac King, developing. He's a hot and cold kind of guy. He doesn't have a whole lot in the physical area, but his technical abilities are very good. Tom Hopper, not as much out of him as I'd like, but he's got a few goals that were important. He can still develop a little bit, though. Ed Collins, also high on the development. He went up 9 points, same as both Larsons. Keeper Nils Larsson and midfielder Christian Larsson, who we'll get to in a minute, they all went up by 9. And then King was the next big earner by 7. There's Christian Larsson, as we talked about. He's got moderate physical stats, but they're not going up much at all. I wish they would. He could be legendary if he did. Bruno Miranda, we need to play more to get him some goals. He has a lot of potential. He's still fairly young as well. Edu, a little bit of development. He came in as a replacement. Great physical stats, but reasonable defending stats, and the rest is garbage. Beauchamp, he played a few matches, and he did fairly well in those. He spent half the season out on loan, though. Hamish Watson, the man with the goals and the setups. Not the most amazing stats, but he did pretty well over the season. Mark Randall, probably one of the hardest workers, but aging, and he's not developing. At least he's not deteriorating yet. Ben Tozer didn't play a whole lot, but did fairly well when he did have to come in. Anwar Hamdan, he started high, but is developing slowly. He is probably going to be phased out for Aljour, since Alger, I think, will end up with better physical stats, and he's already overtaking him in a lot of the technical ones, except for those 3 green ones, the free kicking, long pass, and curve. Tomon Evans, decent development. He had a fairly good season. I think he's going to be the token Newport player that I'm going to keep on the squad from the original Newport County roster, just because he's such a cool guy. Marlon Jackson, quite a few goals. Not a whole lot of development, but aging, and he's very much a bench player. He's got good strength and speed, so he's versatile. If we just work on his technical abilities, he could be good, but he's a bit old for that. Scott Bennett, he'll be out of contract, and I've decided not to renew it. We'll bring in some younger, more talented replacements, since he's got a fairly low overall, at least in regards to the average of the squad. Same for Jamie Turley. He was crap. He put in 2 own goals, mostly just because he's an idiot. And his stats are pretty bad. So he can go. We don't need him. And Turley, we don't need him. He will, his contract expires and we're not renewing it. Sean Rigg, we did do a last-minute renew on him just because we need some left mid backup for Johnny White. I'm looking to replace him since he's aging and deteriorating. But he had a pretty good season. Quite a few goals. 7 goals, 8 setups. Well done, sir. Overhaugen's been on loan to Port Vale, who have... they lost out in playoffs for promotion. He doesn't have a super high potential, but he's developed quite a bit. We might send him on loan again, or we might just get rid of him since he's not that good yet. That's all for the squad. Let's look at the finances as the first part of our review. Lots of profit. A lot from transfers, a ton from prize money as well since we won the FA Cup. That got us $3.5 million just itself. Excellent work on the match tickets. The merchandising was a lot better than last season. We didn't do as well in the preseason prize money, but you knew that already. And season tickets is one of the goals that we need to work on for next season. In terms of expenses, we spent a lot on the scouting network, which is excellent. I like spending money there to bring in youth talent. Wages are just a little bit less than I expected, which is good. Travel costs, let me bring up that money spreadsheet so I can have a look. Travel costs were less than last season, which is excellent. Stadium maintenance, also less than last season. And youth facilities, we didn't spend nearly as much as I thought we would, and we got to bring in a few new players as well. Alright, let's finish up by reviewing the board expectations to see how we did. Youth development, the short-term one was from last year, so don't care about that one. We failed that at the end of last season. We did complete the long-term one this season, having 3 players who were signed from the Youth Academy last season play 30% of the games in this season. See who all made the cut there. Let's see. King certainly played at least half the games. Larson played at least half the games. Both Larsons, I think. Nils Larson played almost half, but still more than 30%. Ed Collins played 51 games. He was one of our guys with the most appearances. And Mickelbust as well. And Johnny White played a large portion of the games also. So we definitely got a lot of youth players in the starting lineup. Brand exposure, that's the one where we need to get our season ticket holders up to 10% of the stadium's capacity. We've got 2 more seasons to do that. No continental success. We swept it in domestic. We won League One. We avoided relegation. We finished better than mid-table, and we also won the FA Cup, even though we were only expected to get round of 32. In terms of finances, we kept the salary under control, but we put some growth to it. That's good because as long as we keep under 20%, the more growth we get is better, because it means if they give us the same one next season, we have a better starting number to go with, so 20% will be even more. So we can keep growing the wage budget, which means we can bring in better players. And then we had to finish the season with a lot of money. It gave us that accomplishment a week or 2 ago in game, and it was after that that we splurged on the scout. We wouldn't have accomplished it if they hadn't given us the achievement before spending the scout. That's why I was hesitating a little while. But since they gave it to us, hey, spend the money. Because as far as I'm aware, you don't get a lot of it back at the beginning of next season. Alright, that is all. Like, comment, and subscribe as per usual. We'll be hitting up the beginning of Season 3 in probably tomorrow. I think I'll get to it then. Don't forget to follow on Twitter at Ranroth Games. That's where you get all the updates on the videos, most of the matches that I don't put on camera. I'll put the results up on there so you can get an idea of how we're doing between the recaps. And once more, vote for the FIFA 18 Career Mode team. The choices are in Newport County, Port Vale, Wickham Wanderers, and Forest Green Rovers. That link will be in the description. Click it, choose, and, well, then we see what happens once the votes are tallied closer to release date. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the beginning of Season 3. Peace out, homies.